Napoleon Bonaparte didn't lose at Waterloo because he was outsmarted by a better general. He lost because the sky opened up and turned a Belgian field into a giant, sticky swamp. If the sun had come up on a dry field that morning, the map of Europe, the language you speak, and the laws you live under would likely look completely different today. We like to think that history is made by great men making grand decisions, but sometimes history is just made by the weather. We are going to look at the forensic details of how a simple summer rainstorm and a 120-minute delay created a butterfly effect that buried an empire forever. To understand how Napoleon lost, you have to understand how he fought. He was a master of artillery. He called his cannons his beautiful daughters. His entire strategy relied on moving these massive guns into perfect positions to blast holes in the enemy lines so his infantry could rush in. But on the morning of June 18th, 1815, Napoleon woke up to a nightmare. It had rained all night. It wasn't just a drizzle, it was a torrential downpour that turned the soil of the Waterloo Plateau into a thick, soul-sucking mud. Napoleon looked at the ground and realized his heavy 12-pounder cannons would sink up to their axles if he tried to move them. He made a choice that seemed small, but changed everything. He decided to wait. He pushed the start of the battle from the early morning back to 11:30 a.m. He wanted to give the sun a few hours to bake the ground dry. Those 5 hours of waiting were the most expensive hours in military history. While Napoleon waited for the mud to dry, the Prussian army under General Blücher was miles away, marching through their own mud, desperately trying to reach the Duke of Wellington's British forces. If Napoleon had started at 7 a.m., he could have crushed Wellington before the Prussians even saw the smoke of the battle. Most people don't realize that Napoleonic cannonballs didn't usually explode like modern bombs. They were solid iron spheres. The goal was to fire them so they would hit the ground just in front of the enemy and then bounce or skid through the ranks like a giant lethal bowling ball. On dry ground, a single cannonball could take out a dozen men in a single bounce. But on June 18th, the ground was a sponge. When the French fired their massive grande batterie, the balls didn't bounce. They hit the mud with a wet thud and stayed there. This meant Napoleon's most powerful weapon was operating at about 50% efficiency. He was punching a wall with a pillow. Because the artillery wasn't doing its job, the British troops held their ground on the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean. The Duke of Wellington had also used the terrain perfectly, hiding his men on the reverse slope of a hill. This meant Napoleon's gunners couldn't even see what they were aiming at. They were firing blindly into the mud, wasting ammunition and time, while the clock ticked down toward the arrival of the Prussians. By mid-afternoon, the frustration on the French side was reaching a breaking point. Marshal Ney, Napoleon's right-hand man, saw some British wagons moving in the distance and mistakenly thought the British were retreating. In a moment of pure, impulsive madness, he ordered a massive cavalry charge. We aren't talking about a few dozen guys on horses. We are talking about 9,000 elite French horsemen, including the famous cuirassiers in their gleaming breastplates, charging uphill. But they were charging into a trap. They didn't have any infantry or cannons to support them. When they reached the top of the ridge, they didn't find a retreating army. They found the British squares. An infantry square is exactly what it sounds like. 4 walls of men with bayonets pointing outward. Horses are smart animals. They won't jump onto a wall of sharp steel spikes. The French cavalry rode around and around these squares, getting picked off by British muskets like targets in a gallery. It was a slaughter. Ney sent in wave after wave, wasting the finest horsemen in Europe against a defense that wouldn't break. By the time the sun started to set, the French elite forces were decimated, exhausted, and stuck in the mud. Just as Napoleon was preparing one last desperate push with his imperial guard, men who had never lost a battle, a dark cloud appeared on his right flank. It wasn't rain this time. It was 50,000 Prussian soldiers. Napoleon had sent a third of his own army away, days earlier, to find these Prussians and keep them away, but the Prussians had outsmarted them. They arrived at the exact moment the British line was about to snap. The arrival of General Blucher changed the math instantly. Napoleon was now fighting two armies at once. The French soldiers, seeing the Prussians arrive, realized they were trapped. The cry of "Sauve qui peut," or "every man for himself," went up through the ranks. The invincible Grande Armée turned and ran. The man who had conquered almost all of Europe was forced to flee in his carriage, leaving his hat and his empire behind in the Belgian mud. Waterloo wasn't just a defeat, it was the end of an era, all because of a few hours of rain and a decision to wait for the sun. If that mud had dried by sunrise, Napoleon might have won, the British Empire might have crumbled, and the 19th century would have belonged to France. It's the ultimate example of how the smallest things, the moisture in the dirt or the timing of a clock, can collapse the greatest empires ever built. If the mud had dried by sunrise, would we all be living in a different world today? Tell us your alternate history theory in the comments and click here to see how another tiny mistake changed history forever.